let's do this thing. Okay. Hey guys, what's up? It's Shelby and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do something very different and very out of my comfort zone. But I have been wanting to make this video for a very long time, and I have finally got the courage to do it. So yeah, I'm really nervous, and so yeah, this is probably gonna get very emotional, so if it does, I'm sorry. This is very different than my upbeat like makeup tutorials, but I know there's a lot of people out there struggling with the same thing, so I thought I would just make a video about it. I have wanted to for so long, and I finally feel like I'm in the right state of mind to actually do this video. So without further ado, let's just get right into this video. This video is probably going to be pretty long, so bear with me. So I'm going to be talking about my anxiety and my depression. So let's first start off with, this is not something, you know, made up. This is not for attention. This is serious stuff. So yeah, and I know I'm like smiling, but it's like when I'm nervous I laugh, so I'm trying not to like laugh, but yeah. Okay, so let's just start off from the beginning and I will work my way up. So as a kid, I never liked school. I absolutely hated school, like literally from the time I was little to even now. Like, I still don't want to go to school. I would much rather be homeschooled like I am right now. I have asked my parents literally since I was like 6 or 7 to be homeschooled. I have begged and begged and begged them to be homeschooled. I hated going to school. I hated being in school. If I was there, more than likely I would call home sick, and so it was rough, especially for my parents, because you get in trouble with the law when you don't go to school. Like, my parents were getting in trouble, and I was getting in trouble because I wasn't going to school, and it was a lot of pressure because I didn't know why I didn't want to go to school. I just didn't want to go. It wasn't the fact that I was being bullied, because when I was little I wasn't being bullied. I feel like when I was 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 I really wasn't being bullied. I just didn't want to be there. I had a hard time with it, and then when I got to middle school and high school, that's when the bullying started, and it made things even worse, because then it was like 10 times worse. I really didn't want to go then, and so it was terrible. I never went to school, and when I did, it was terrible, and I was sick to my stomach the whole time, and I was sick in the morning, and I was sick at night, and it was awful. It was just awful, and I never knew why. I didn't know anxiety was even a thing then. Like, I didn't know what anxiety meant. I don't even think my parents thought that's what I had. I think they just thought I didn't want to go because I just wanted to be home playing with toys or laying in bed watching TV. You know, I don't think they thought it was anxiety, but now that we look back on it, I really do think it was that I've just had anxiety my whole life and never knew you could have anxiety so young. With that being said, let's skip a little bit to when we figured it out. And I had gotten a job as a dance teacher, which I still have right now, and I couldn't go in. I literally physically could not get myself out of the car and through the door. I was sick to my stomach. I was bawling my eyes out. I was hyperventilating. I just couldn't go in, and dance is what I love to do. Dance is like my life, and kids, I love kids, so I loved going in and teaching kids what I love, and the kids looked up to me and they were always happy around, you know, it was like this good feeling once I got in. But being outside in that car, it was like the worst thing ever. And we sat in the car. We'd get there super early because my mom wanted to make sure I had time. We'd get there like a half an hour early, and I would sit in the car and I'd look at my mom and I would just start crying. It was like I couldn't do it. And we'd sit in the car for 15, 20, 30 minutes. My boss would be texting me, "Are you coming? Are you coming?" And it's like, I don't know if I'm coming. I couldn't figure it out if I wanted to go or not. It was like, one part of me was like, I love this, I love doing this, and I want to go in and I want to go dance. And then the other part of me was like, no, you don't, you can't do it, you can't, you are not good enough, you aren't strong enough to do this. You are going to go home and you are just going to lay in bed and do what you do best, is pretty much the thoughts that went through my mind. And that was the worst thing ever. It was hard, and I felt so stuck. It was like I couldn't even do what I loved to do anymore. It was like, it was just awful. And then I would go home and I would feel even worse than I did before because I couldn't do it. And I would come home and I would just cry all night and beat myself up about it because I couldn't pull through it. I couldn't do it. I came home like a coward and I laid in my bed and I just cried. I thought about it. I'm like, I'm letting everybody down. You know, it was like, it was really, really hard to know what to do because my boss didn't understand it. She didn't understand that half the time I wasn't going to be at dance, and I was really scared because I didn't want to lose that job. This is honestly the best job I think I will ever have. It's like, and then it was like, oh my god, if I miss one more time, she's gonna fire me, which put even more pressure on me, which was like, it was so hard to get through, and the more I did it, it was awesome, and it was like, I can do this, and then I'd have an off day, and it was like, I can't do this, even though I know I can. Like, I know I can get out of this car and do it, but it's so hard to change your negative thoughts into your positive thoughts when the negative ones are so much more than your positive. Then it got to the point where I was in my room. I was in my bathroom actually, and I was watching for my mom, who was coming to get me to go take me to my first class for my driving. And I called her crying. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can go in that classroom. I don't know if I can even get out of my house. My stomach hurts so bad. And I was crying, and my mom was like, just come downstairs, I'll take you there, we'll see how it goes. So I calmed myself down, I fixed my makeup, and I went. This was also the school where I got bullied, so it was like everybody knew I dropped out and became homeschooled, and so it was like so many thoughts are going through my head. So we get there and we pull up, and I'm freaking out in the car. I'm still crying, and my mom's trying to calm me down and tell me that I can do this, and I'm capable of doing it, and I got this, and to just calm down, it's not as bad as I think. And one of my old friends, who actually was going to take the class with me, was calling me, telling me, are you coming? Like, we have to get to class. And so finally, I just said whatever, and I went in, and my hands were just shaking, my legs were weak. I felt like I was going to throw up, and we got into the class, and I sat down, and I looked at everybody, and everybody was looking at me. I knew everybody, and before the teacher got there, I got up, walked out of class, went to the bathroom, and called my mom, bawling my eyes out. I sat in that classroom for less than a minute, and it was the worst minute of my life, and my mom turned around, came back, and got me, and I was crying so hard that I couldn't even tell her what happened. And that was when my mom decided that I needed to be on anxiety medicine, and that I needed, help. And so we made a doctor's appointment to get it. Another one that I remember, which is also really hard, is it was me, my mom, and my Nana, and we were all in the car. We were on our way to a dance competition, and I was doing so good. I got up in the morning, I felt great, I was ready, I got all my stuff together, and my mom picked me up with my grandma, and we were having a great time. And I was in the back of the car doing my makeup, and something just hit me, and my stomach dropped, and I seriously thought I was gonna be sick. I stopped. I was halfway done with my makeup. I put my makeup down, and I just sat there, and my mom looked at me, and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm not okay. And that's when I started crying and hyperventilating, and my leg was tapping, and my hands were shaking, and my grandma didn't know what to do. She doesn't understand them. They aren't something she can comprehend, so she let my mom take over, and my mom pulled the car over, and I was just crying and shaking, and I felt sick to my stomach, and it was like the worst thing ever. It was like, I love dance, like, why can't I do it? Like, I've been doing it since before I knew I had anxiety. Why is it sparking up now? Like, I was doing good. I went to 2 other competitions before this one, and I did fine. And then I get to this one, and I'm crying, and my makeup's ruined, and I just didn't know what to even tell myself because I felt so bad about myself. It was like, this is what you're good at. This is what you do. This is easy for you. Why are you being like this? It was so hard, and my mom got me to calm down, and I ate like some crackers or something to settle my stomach, and we got back in the car, and I did it. That time is the time I pulled through, and I was like, we're already almost to the competition. My mom isn't turning around, and everybody needs me. It's like, it was just like, I have to do this, and there's no way I'm getting out of this. We can't just turn the car around and go home. We aren't even in our own state. So I pulled it together, and I finished my makeup. I had some tear stains in my foundation, but we're not going to talk about that. And we went to the dance competition, and I killed it. It was so good to know that that was the first time I pulled through on something and I could do it, and it was really rewarding for myself. So along with my anxiety came depression, and it was different. It was a different feeling than anxiety. I got depression with anxiety because I couldn't do the things I loved. I do love going outside, and I love going to like the fair and like the rodeo and going to sidewalk sales and all this stuff that I did when I was little and that I didn't even think about. It was becoming stuff I couldn't even do. I couldn't even go to my mom's house. I couldn't spend the night anywhere. I sat in my house all summer that summer. I didn't go outside. It was like I was trapped in my room with my thoughts, and it was terrible. Like, I had stomach aches just going to like the gas station or like just going grocery shopping, and with that came my depression because I couldn't go to the grocery store, which made me feel like shit. Like, who can't go to the grocery store, you know? And so it was like I felt just bad about myself, and I just kept telling myself, like, why can't you do these things? Like, why aren't you normal? Like, that's literally how I felt. I was like, why aren't you like everybody else? Like, why can't you just go out and do things? Why can't you just go to school? Why can't you just go to dance? Why can't you go to the grocery store? It was so frustrating for me because I just wanted to do things that everybody else was doing that I couldn't get myself to do. And it was hard. Like, at night I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I lost so much weight. It was to the point where a family was noticing. They're like, you're getting so skinny, and it was like, it felt good, but now that I look back about it, it's like I didn't lose it by working out and eating right. I didn't even eat at all, and if I did, I would just throw up, and it was awful. And the depression just made everything 10 times worse because I didn't even want to get out of bed then. I didn't even want to do school. I didn't even want to dance. I didn't want to go to dance anymore. I just wanted to be in my room, and I wanted to sleep, and I just lay in bed and think about the things that I did wrong and think about the things I could change about myself that I didn't like. And I would just lay there, and it was like the thought that just kept going through my mind is, why can't you just be normal, and why can't you just be good enough? It's not good. It was not healthy. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I barely left my room, for that matter. I didn't need to. I didn't need to eat. I didn't eat. I drank water, and that was about all I did. I would eat breakfast and dinner because my dad was there, and I barely ate anything, and he was starting to notice, and it just wasn't good. My cousin, she came around this time. And I just kept thinking, like, I don't want her to look up to me. It was like, I didn't want her to be like me, and I didn't want her to go through this, and I didn't want her to see me like this. And that, my little cousin does look up to me. Like, I've babysat her since she was little, and she's 3.5 now, like, and I've babysat her since she was a little baby, And I remember coming home from babysitting just like, I really hope that she doesn't look up to me. And that would just break my heart because I wanted her to look up to me, but then again it was like I didn't, because I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't want her to look up to somebody who couldn't go to dance, who could barely leave the house. And it was just like, it was awful. And she was like the happiest thing I had. Like, anytime like my aunt would say, do you want to go out of town with us, it was like it made my stomach hurt. And I love going out of town and going shopping with them. I love that. Like, going out of town and going shopping is my favorite thing to do. And when she would ask, it was like, I do, but I don't at the same time. And she'd be like, well, Daphne's gonna come. And it changed everything. And even though my stomach hurt, she was there, and she changed my mind, and she made it feel better, made me feel better. She made a big difference she made a very big difference in my life. And she just doesn't know what's going on, which makes it better, because she's not worried about it. She doesn't know about it. She just sees me as me and not as my anxiety or as my depression, because she doesn't understand it. She looked at me as me, and it was great. And yeah. And so once we found out that I did have anxiety, things changed a lot. People stopped inviting me to things. They almost stopped talking to me, pretty much. That's when I stopped babysitting for a while, because it was getting worse and worse, and I couldn't get up to go babysit anymore. And I remember my aunt, my uncle, my grandma, and my cousin, we were gonna all go to the zoo, and they came to pick me up, and I didn't think I was gonna be able to go. I was just crying and my stomach hurt. It was like this whole big deal, and I made them wait another 15 minutes. You know, I was in my house, and they were in the car, and they were waiting, and I just finally got in the car, and I cried halfway there, and I went. And after that, they stopped pretty much inviting me to things. They were gonna go down to Wisconsin, into the city where my aunt lives, where my other aunt lives, and I wasn't even told about it. And my Nana actually slipped it up, and I asked, well, can I come? And she said that they didn't want me to come because of the fact that I have anxiety, and they don't know, I'm unpredictable. So that hurt so bad. It was like they weren't looking at me anymore. It was like they were looking at my anxiety and the fact that, yeah, I do have a hard time going places, but once I get there, I'm fine. And nobody understood that. It was like I was never gonna go anywhere, and that they weren't thinking of me. They were thinking of my anxiety and the fact that I do struggle with it, but they weren't going to try to help either. And that hurt so bad, because I'm very close with my aunt and my uncle. It was really hard because, like I said, I wasn't really invited to anything to help me get through stuff. It was like they planned stuff around me so that they could go without having to take me. And once I found that out, I was so hurt, which just added to my depression of the fact that it just felt like nobody was there for me and nobody understood, and I felt so alone. And it was like the worst feeling ever to know that you're alone, to feel that like you're alone and that you have nobody to turn to. Even though I had my dad, I had my mom, I did have my aunt and uncle then, and I still do. I still have all these family members, and I had people to talk to, but it felt like nobody was actually there for me, and that nobody knew what I was going through or how to help me. It just felt like everybody was avoiding me, and it was really tough. It was really hard to see past that. It really was. My dog's coming in here now. Hi. We finally, my mom and dad set up a doctor's appointment, and I told my doctor what has been happening, and we got on medicine. I am on 20 milligrams of citalopram. I started off as 10, and 10 was doing okay, but it wasn't doing enough. It made me feel really happy because it is an antidepressant that helps with anxiety, so I was hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. So my citalopram did make me super happy, and it did make me feel a lot better, but it's still, going to dance was hard, you know, having to stay places for a while. Just the thought of not being home was hard. I didn't want to be out of the house for too long. I didn't want to have to be at dance for too long, and I did have dance for a while. I mean, I was there from like 3 o'clock to like 7:30. That was a while for me to be away from home, and that's the part that scared me, is I didn't want to be away from home for so long, and so I would get, you know, the anxiety would build up, and then I'd sit in the car and cry, and so, and my anxiety got worse when I started my period, and because your emotions are so high on your period, that on those days, it got 10 times worse. Like, it was, like, on that week, I literally wouldn't leave the house. I barely talked to anybody but my dad, and it wasn't good. So we got me on birth control then, and upped my dosage to a 20 milligram, which is what I'm still on, and got me on birth control to help with the hormones and stuff. So that helped a lot. The medicine felt weird. As I started taking more, I would take 20 milligrams in the morning. I would take my medicine in the morning after I ate, and then I would be so full of energy for a good hour, and then I would just want to sleep. Like, it was not good. It was like I would get so much energy once I took it, like 5-10 minutes after I took that medicine. I felt awesome, and I was like, I'm so full of energy. I would go in my dance room and I would dance for an hour, and then it was like, okay, I'm so tired. Like, I could barely keep my eyes open after that. So my mom told me, because I liked the way the 10s made me feel. The 10s were like, I wasn't too tired like all day, and I still felt good. So now what I do is I break them in half, and I take 10 in the morning and 10 at night. So I'm getting 20 milligrams of dosage, but I only, you know, I'm not tired and full of energy and then tired, you know, which is the greatest. That is the way that it works for me, and 20 milligrams is helping a lot. And also another thing that when my doctor told me, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, was counseling or therapy, whatever you want to call it. I was like, I don't need that. I'm fine. Let's get me on this medicine and I'll be good. But he was honestly right when he said you need both, because therapy helped so much more than I thought it would, and it was really, really helpful for me. And I went 2 times a week to start with because that's what I needed, and then it slowly went down to 1 week, and then now I'm only at every other week, and it feels so good to say that. Like, I started off going 2 times a week because I was so anxious and couldn't do anything, and getting everything out just helps so much, and knowing how to deal with it just helps. And that was honestly one of the best decisions that I have made, is to go to counseling, because it does truly help. And another thing that helped a lot was writing everything down. Like, if I had a bad day, like, I would come home, and yes, I would be bawling my eyes out still. I would get my notebook out, and I would just write down everything that happened and get it out of my mind, and I was done with it, you know. But before, it was like I just kept going over it and over it because it was just bubbling in my head. So when I wrote it down, I just got it out, and then it was gone. You know, I wasn't thinking about it anymore. Like, I have a notebook just pages full of, like, the saddest stuff, and that did help a lot. Like, you can't always just rely on your counselor to be there 24/7, you know, so it was like writing it down just made it feel so much better and helped me, you know, go to sleep at night. I would do it at night and I would just cry and write down and get everything out, and then I could sleep at night, and it was really good to do that. Another thing, if writing doesn't help as much, my counselor had suggested for me one time to burn the paper. That didn't really help me, but it might help somebody else. I heard it does help, but writing it out is enough for me. So yes, started 2 or 3 years ago that I finally decided. I think it was about 3 years ago, and I am now 17, and I've never been better. I am so happy, and I can leave the house. I haven't had a panic attack. I had two, like, since I've been on my medicine, I have only had 2 panic attacks, which is so good. From it being like twice to 3 times a week to only having it 2 times in months is the most progress, is like the best progress for me, and I feel so good today. Like, all the stuff I worried about, I don't worry about anymore. I used to worry about how I look, how my voice is, how I laugh, how I walk, what I wear. Now it's like I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care how my voice is. I don't care if my laugh is loud and annoying. I'm gonna laugh. You know, it's like I don't care what I wear. I will go in in sweatpants, like pajama pants, and a hoodie if I need to. It's like I don't care anymore. I just want to be myself. I think that is the end. If you enjoyed this, I am glad. If this helped you, I am so glad. I am here to talk to anybody that needs help with it. I will leave my Instagram and everything down below. You can message me on there, because I know what it feels like to be in that situation, and I know everybody struggles differently. But to have somebody that has been in their shoes does help a lot, because you just, when you're in that situation, you do feel like you're the only person that's going through it, and you're the only person that is struggling with it, and to know you're not is a good feeling, because I found out once I was doing a little better that I wasn't the only one struggling with it. There is so many people in this world struggling with it. So yeah, I am here for anybody and everybody who needs help or just wants to talk. I am here. So yes, thank you guys for watching this long video, and yes, I will see you guys next time with a happier, more upbeat video. Have a few things planned for videos, so be ready for those, and thank you guys for listening to me ramble. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys want to see next down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!